Well, Lord bless our times. Amen. Hallelujah. Well, we catch up a little bit on the way here, but obviously have more to talk. So I would like to continue
Yeah.
conversation with you. If nothing else, we can do some reading or whatever topic you feel. Don't have to be everyday life. Make it sense to you.
Yeah.
Something you're curious about. I can even talk about Chinese culture or Chinese stuff with you, or other stuff with you. So
Well, yeah, I
depends
definitely
on your mode.
like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel a desire to really learn about the Chinese culture as well, and just see how some of those things for sure.
I really don't know the level you're reading, but I do have some books maybe able to share with you. Some were given to. Here's a good book.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, don't if you don't read those books, return back to me because I bought it for the purpose.
I definitely just borrow it.
If you want it, you can keep it.
Oh,
My point is that don't waste the books. So,
yeah.
Noah had another book as well. So, or you can, if you can spare some budget, whatever, I can help you to purchase some books. Well, I can always give to you guys.
Oh yeah, I don't want to take this from you.
No, it's okay.
Definitely
that book you can take it. So.
Are you sure?
I don't really necessarily read it. I do what I study a subject. I do different versions together, so I can compare different scholarship, whatever going on there on the subject. But that's one of the best scholar on that subject.
Really?
From West,
that's really
not
cool.
from China. That's why I bought it. It's a Westerner wrote it. So, So I have a different way to interpret things.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good or bad, but it's, scholarship is always good. So. Books, the good scholar not oftentimes make things very simple actually. So it sounds not impressive. Actually, a lot of study behind it. So you can know they're not writing in a way that is this simple, so you have to know a lot, to write a simple, so I believe that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so the more simple you go is actually the one has to know a lot.
Right?
Yeah,
simplicity goes a long ways.
Like a distillation, distill the substance something. So.
So maybe a question I could ask is what in like maybe it's a broad question, but like what is Chinese culture about?
Wow, that's a broad topic. There's a lot of books talk about it. I don't necessarily my understanding will fit in that category.
Sure, yeah, that's a really broad question.
But Chinese culture, that like any people, any history, there are different streams. But, when we talk the culture, most likely talking about the people, the thoughts, so, for example, you study American culture, you will find that the thoughts of Americans morphs through the generations. And then with the thoughts life, different generations thoughts life, we decided the mindset of the people at the time, right? So, then, major representations for particular thoughts is a reflection, if you will, or representation of the generation where they are, the ages where they are. But they also sometimes like a forerunners or voice for the coming new things, that are afoot in the development of the society or the culture. So many people that come nowhere, not coming nowhere. Therefore, they oftentimes is a student, if you will, of the things that pass on to them. Then they consolidate and begin to think about how to practice practically or theoretically, whoever is thinking, to bring the field expertise or the issues and concern them, and or whatever the framework of the we call it the realm of their engagement will be into a new light or a new realm, make it simply a new place, a new height sometimes even. So so it's very hard to discern that, but they normally can think about thoughts lies for different thinkers in the age. You can have a good grasp on the culture end of the society. Making sense to you? Talking about the culture, right? Chinese culture, but so it's in China. There are different ages, just like American go through different phases. China more complex and a long history. So the variation development, static it is. There's a lot of departments, a lot of school thoughts, So and they not gonna die out just one generation, two generation. They actually perpetual continuous struggle, which is other. And that can be manifested in different theories or philosophies or even religions. Eventually those commingled with the one who in power, so that means the political arena get into play, and with that also popular culture get into play. Popular people, and the mass get into play. I'm a little scholarly because you're asking a topic that has to be articulate scholarly, academic a little bit, So, so then manifests in China through the thousands of years history. Really, there's a lot changes or metamorphoses in Chinese culture as well. But there are always, like any culture, there is a unique features or undergirding characteristic of a culture. So in China, the undergirding, you would see there are two school thoughts that, or even three, that are undergirding many for those kind of developments. Okay, so one would call Confucianism, so Confucianism, whatever the word, so. And they developed, have different divisions, like people study the Bible, have different denominations. Study Buddhism, they have different denominations, try to kill each other as well. Muslim, the same thing, right? So like any Asian culture, when long term people been divided their understanding based on same teacher, same school thoughts, but they begin to divide each other. They begin to even prosecute each other. That play out in China history as well, just like in Buddhism history, in Muslim history, in Christian history, but they all seems to honor the same teacher on the same origin, basically, So this not Christianity is not a singular phenomenon about unification and division things, also transformation. So Confucianism itself went through a lot of transformations. One of the topic actually continue intriguing me is how it morphs through the generations. So they have their unsettled issues, they have their controversies, they have different school thoughts as well. Similar in Christianity. I don't talk about those things because I'm not interested in their arguments. I'm interested in what you truly found. So we can talk about those things if you're interested. The other school or departments, or rather undergirding thoughts, right? So of philosophy, because Chinese philosophy sometimes not necessarily departed from a religion, So when is Buddhism actually play a major role in Chinese, not necessarily as religion, but as a way of thinking. So modern Japanese were hugely influenced by Buddhism, right? So the culture in different ways. So, but then with the brand, this Buddhism is so different than the original Buddhism that flourished in the land of India, right, the nation from India. Buddhism started from India, So,
Really?
yeah. So today still Thailand, other places, you go to Thai restaurant, everywhere have Buddha, right? So, yeah, because the Buddhist nation, meaning,
Right.
they have Bhutan, they have Burma, all those are Buddhist nations, meaning nations around those regions are hugely influenced by Buddhists. So China have imported Buddhism, if you will, quote, so, and then through the generation take on their own life in China. They all have different brand, which inherited again through the division from Buddhism in India even. So it's already divided. So, so therefore, different brand of Buddhism have different history in China as well. And with that process, like any alien culture come to being integrated into a new culture, so there's always a process of integration as a process of rejection, right? So repellation, meaning repel something, makes sense. Okay. So that play out as well. It's distinctly actually to do with the ruling power today. Some emperor kings or rulers, whatever they support it, a practitioner even Buddhism. Some just literally feel it's alien culture, it's deteriorating society. So it's not compatible to Chinese culture. So to try to argue the case to dispel it, so
Yeah.
to eliminate it even so that is so the especially in the United States are more stable. Eventually, however, take roots, and a lot of practitioners, even the intellectuals, right? So begin to absorb its theory, its practices, begin to morph into part of our culture, and they even combine that with the Buddhism practice, so with the Confucius practice. So we have this new school of thinking begin to emerge. Along this line, there's a lot of variations, So another parts, a major one, there's many others. And actually there are two. That's Taoism, start with Laozi. You know Taoism a little bit? Okay.
Taoism.
It's a religion, but it's also a philosophy. So
Yeah, I think so.
start with a philosophy, Start actually with it's a ruling philosophy in China's Asian dynasty. So then gradually morphs to be like people take things of that nature begin to become institutionalize it, become to use it to appeal to the masses, in a sense, and become a religion. Even combined with mythism, spiritualism, and sometimes occultic practices. So things are integrated in it. So. But Taoism in the beginning was nothing to do with those things, So, but it's very, very, in a sense, a very much a mixture bunch, So when things getting down that light, that one has also hugely begun to integrate with Buddhism, Confucianism. They have their own integration, different schools. Okay, very complex, right? So, yeah. There's another one distinctly different is all because it's oftentimes actually runs contrary to Confucianism.
Right.
It's legalism, we call it legalism. Legalism is more actually in similar with the modern philosophy in American Western culture. It's use law basically to govern nation rather than use traditions or honor certain govern nation. You can govern nation with different ways in the West mind, because the legal construct always in the beginning, but it takes precedence than a cultural restriction, a moral restriction. Make sense to you? So therefore the legalism more like a Pharisaic understanding of the Bible, so
Hmm.
everything become a law, rules,
Yeah.
don'ts, right? So they judge you according to the law. Make sense to you, so I mean, the Pharisee system would think only a theory practice understand the scriptures are not true. They use it literally, they confine and to judge the everyday life of
Right.
the Jewish people. Make sense to you, so yeah. If you work, for example, on Sabbath, you're going to be punished. Make sense to you, so someone's going to call you. That means there's a police power, quote unquote, right? Someone's going to watch how you behave, basically, decide what to do. So there is more than a moral code there, or an understanding about whatever text or tradition they came from. There is also an enforcer of those things, right? So the enforcing those things most likely is called the political contracts or police power, whatever word. So, but what code enforcing? Now in China, just competing, just like American, any nation competing those things. But in the West, more settled, so the West basically has common law tradition, especially the Anglo-Saxon tradition passed on to American, the common law tradition. You might understand what common law is. You might study a little bit when you have time. So, for example, the Revolution American was not fighting for independence per se. It's a fighting for the respect, the honor for common law.
Yeah.
And
Interesting way to.
Magdamada, whatever. So yeah. So it's the states and the citizenry what relations supposed to maintain. So when the British disrespected the American right to be a citizen, basically, they treated like colonies, and Americans said, no, we from a Britain, so we want the common law tradition passed on to us. We want to be treated like just a British
Same as
citizens. Yeah, exactly. So, but British Parliament refused, even the King refused to treat American citizens as own equal citizenship. So they said, yeah, why not the colonies? So they have a lot of colonies. They treat them pretty bad. So
Yep.
like India, like China, and other places colonized, to treat people literally like
Animals.
slaves or third class, whatever. So obviously, that is not of the taste of American citizens those days, right? We said we can't be treated like Indians, so Indian nation, in the British colonized Indian nation. So it's pretty bad, basically, so they saw slave, for example, all those traditions passed from the European nations, makes sense to you, treating slaves. So they said, we can't be treated like those people, so you better treat us right as your own citizens. So, and the parliament rejected it. So, therefore, it's a fault of the citizenry and the government. The relationship was starting really important. In a sense, what legal system or government system is applicable to the people? There's always a contention, making sense to you, so. But back to Chinese tradition, there is a long time, just like Confucius around the same time, Confucius teach his disciples, there's another school came up. Okay? So, and they literally call themselves like legalism. So they believe law has to take precedence in governing a nation. And the enforcement law must be strict and harsh in a sense.
Right.
And this incarceration in this nation, it'll become a social problem, right? So, and so is it, in China, so, and American have fallen into another culture nation, but the legal listing nation, you understand that?
Yeah.
Lawyer gone with the nation, literally. Just like the Pharisees gone with the nation. The inspiration of the Constitution literally gone.
Right.
Because it all become a law. Constitution used as a reason and a support for a whole world completely legal system. That was never the Constitution was meant for.
Mm.
Constitution meant to produce an independent, thriving, and self-respectful, in a sense, self-disciplined citizenry. Making sense to you? You know, it want the people be enlightened, self-disciplinary, civilized, basically.
Mm.
But that has gone, literally gone.
Yeah.
Today, is the law is against criminals, and nobody wants to be a good citizen in the sense. Good citizen means a dumb and dumber. So.
Yeah.
Are you a good citizen? Nobody can be a good citizen, right? But good citizen means you're dumb.
You're controlled.
Be under the regime and legal instruct the government's instruct literally take advantage of you. That's what it is. So the government never supposed to oppress and restrict people. This American Constitution is about. Now they enable the government to oppress, restrict you. It's incredible. For example, doing business in these nations were hard. It's hard. This regulation, that regulation. You can't do this. All the codes. Yeah, there's reason for that. Like anything, reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
But those things not supposed to be enforced by the government. Are you thinking about it? Well, the government know. It's supposed to either have industry standard,
Mm-hmm.
or something can be enforced by associations, whatever. It has to be, I don't know, the choice of a citizen, through commercial other ways of agreement.
Mm-hmm.
But when the government begin to enforce standards, that's maybe overboard already. You understand my point? So enforce every standards. But why are they doing that? Because the citizens are not good.
Mm.
They have to do it. Because everybody's cheating. Take advantage of one another. So literally, this is self-inflicted burden, right? On one side, the citizen is not trustworthy. On the other side, the government said, let me regulate you, control you, don't do bad things. And the citizen said, because you control me, abuse your power, therefore I cannot obey your law. I can continue to find loopholes or lobby, whatever, do my interest group, right? So I'm going to maneuver the government, basically, which is happening today. Americans are not a citizenry government anymore. It's a corporate interest government, if you understand me. Big money manages the nation, decide the policy. That's everything know. We just talk about it. So your teaching of real history, the real state of American is totally a lie in the sense of facade. You understand my point, But if you look at your textbook, compared to what they broadcasting the TV or movies, you understand the difference, right?
Right.
Through TV's movie, do you see anything praise government or praise government agencies? Not many, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hidden.
It's always corrupted. Some crook there.
Well, there definitely are some movies that try to expose that.
Yeah,
stuff.
everybody's fighting the system, right? So that's your hero there.
Mm-hmm.
That's by nature is a sign of a downturn, if you will, of a culture. I mean, the first medium, the thing that really make you believe how things works, is a government that always is ominous and a threat and a corrupted presence. How you can love that government, support that government? How you? So creates enmity between citizenry and government agencies, whatever it is. So legalistic always going to produce that kind of result. It doesn't matter whether in American, European nation, or in China. So it's worked through the generations, always ended up in the same place. Americans don't know it because it's only 300 years old, or 400 years, less than 400 years civilization in a sense.
Right.
And no idea it had a head for the history yield about legalism, legalistic in a sense. When lawyers run society, the society will run down. When people begin to distrust, because lawyers are always corrupt, and they use the law, they use the government power to oppress people, to exploit people. When that happens, the energy and the vitality of society has been lost. People said, what used to good? Let me be corrupt, because everything wants is one another. So the excellency and the talents of today is being expressed by people who can take advantage of one another. Take advantage of the law, take advantage of the government, take advantage of everything. So everybody's like they know, everybody's mind, heart is corrupt. So the way legalism set up like that, obviously is a country in this nation's founding philosophy and intent, right? The intent of the Constitution called, okay? So intend to produce a kind of citizenry, disciplined, enlightened, and supportive,
United.
Yes, No, we are divided because the real power has given to a bunch of people who maneuver the law, make the law, execute the law, then maneuver the law. But who is really making the law? In the name of for good of the public. But I'm not saying that I did not do anything wrong. There are many things that had to be done and should be done. But the whole power structure, if you will, the model is not try to produce honorable citizenry, right?
Right.
Rather said, guys, don't do things wrong, okay? Or we'll get you. Or, if you can take on the legal system, don't get caught, you're smart, right? Even the president, former president bragged he didn't get caught. See, waiting taxation. The citizen should be, I'm proud to contribute to the government, have my fair share in the government. That's my nation, that's my people. Why should I not contribute? But obviously, interest-based, self-interest-based rather, through legal construct, you can't produce that kind of citizenry. You will be found a dumber, right? By being that good citizen and supporting this good citizen, like. So the other way doing is more like talking the Chinese culture now, is to follow the Confucian tradition. In China, I'll just give you an American picture let you borrow some idea from American reality to project what happened in history, this tradition in the past. So the government periodically, sometimes even in to combine different schools of thoughts to how to exercise the police power. This legal constraint, basically. But it's always, unstable, so. That undergirding thoughts, however, is still made up most of the governmental construct in China. But the system, as much insight is about this, it's upheld ideal that is borrowed from Confucianism. So not necessarily depends on rigid execution and application of a legal system, but they try to say, let's enlighten the people, make the people learn to show honor, respect one another. So that's the embodiment conscious, as you learn a little bit about, So is that can be done genuinely? No. Just like people turn to Christianity merely because of tradition. They talk the talk, never really think about the real meaning of it.
Right.
Why? Because most of the time, until recent centuries, Chinese, most of the mass is uneducated. People can't read. Just like in Middle Age Europe, people don't read, am I? Don't have books. So only a small group of people were able to be educated. But China is such a biggest population, you can imagine, with a small, they still have a lot of talents in it, so yeah. But percentage wise, the ratio is very, very slim, about those educated, so yeah. The mass of it, let's see, 90% of it not illiterate almost. So that's not unfamiliar phenomenon through history, and merely in one region that the Chinese culture is every civilization look at the same thing happening. Make sense to you? So yeah. So education was over in history for mankind until recent history centuries. It's a privilege. Nobody even had a chance to learn how to be educated. So can't afford it. So you're barely able to have bread on your table. That's the most. Do you read? I think Justin introduced some books to you guys of the time England, in the time of
poverty.
Dickens. Okay, yeah. The time, orphans, everything, barely make it, right? So barely have food, right? So
a lot of poverty.
Exactly. That's imagine worse than that in China. Dickens's industrialization period, so life getting better. Before the 16th century, England's pretty poor, That was it. Desperately poor. I'm sorry, I'm talking to history a little bit,
Nice.
But you talk about civilization, you need to know the bigger picture in a sense.
Yeah.
And so Confucianism, contrary to legalism, is to try to almost like the Bible. That's why I try to use it to share certain ideals with it, because it's very much conformity, an ideal society, and the way how to enlighten people is through education. You see, even the church in the Middle Ages don't want to educate the mass, am I right? Don't know mass and educated. They want them ignorant. Can you believe that? So they can maneuver them, control them. That's Protestant movement. Revolutionize that, change that. The Enlightenment come on board, then we can have a modern citizen like American we had today. Even education become a social obligation, so that's not the case before about 300 or 400 years ago. That's not the case. To be educated is definitely a privilege and give you a lot of advantages in your life. Make it sense to you, so. Yeah, you can study character like American founding fathers among it, which education bring tremendous change in their life. You can see Benjamin Franklin. You can see, what is his name? Hamilton. What is the first name?
Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton. Yeah, Alexander Hamilton was orphan. Somebody took interest in him, supported, is educated, so then he becomes successful. So not everybody had the chance to make it. Benjamin Franklin used to be just a printer guy. He was your age, younger than you.
Yep.
Working for Big Brother. You remember that? So yeah. So anyway, back to the picture. So the Confucians therefore become the mainstay, more than officially, also the mainstay of Chinese culture. For good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also corrupted away, and divisive way to understand or apply that, but like any culture, there are all the problems, so. God's people not always united, am I, through the ages. Yeah. And understanding the Bible can be super controversial, cost many strife, even in our midst. So.
Yeah, as right. Yeah, like you're saying, as right as it is, it can be
Yeah.
interpreted wrong.
But people not really come from that background or some overview of a history or society or culture being constructed or formed have a very hard time to really understand a person like Jesus, like Confucius, why they wrote what they wrote, why they teach what they taught.
Mm-hmm.
They would think they know. They really don't. Because it's still, I don't know, it's really selfish, but self-centered most of the time, or earthly bound.
Do you think Confucius received anything from God?
He said himself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I
he said
remember
himself. Yeah, he said when he's a 50, he knows his destiny given by heaven. A man, I believe God reads that for his, like he reads out as a man for a nation, right? For the civilization. Yeah. In the Bible, if you read more substantial books, there's a book I had to read. It's a good one. I learned to know already. So, a brother actually no author is a Singaporean. He was a successful businessman. Something to do with your Grace Covenant Church actually.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, certain people introduced me to him, and he argued a case which I believe is true. That Chinese, the God that registered and remembered even worshiping in China is the same God as the God of the Bible, which is exactly on the bench. The God my forefathers told me he's the God of the Bible. So that's why for a long time, because Christians reject the idea, and through authors like him, I gradually entertain the idea, oh yeah, then I come back to my own what do you call, experiences, recognize, yeah, God actually taught me from the beginning. He's the God of my forefathers, which I call upon. He's the God of the Bible. He tell me he's the God of the Bible actually. So,
Wow.
so my experiences were unique in that way, because I didn't recognize those things from studying, right? So it's personal encounter. So let me share why that's important. Because through the history even till today, many people think the Chinese tradition, before Confucius, those things, and the biblical tradition, whatever Jewish tradition, are incompatible. Then we shift gears with Western Christianity as if the center and the height for Christianity, right? Or God's work, God's thoughts. So we have this called the Western centralistic view, especially American centralist view after the Second World War. But that is only short-lived. In the long river of history, that's only short-lived. So the culture, we talk about the Asian cultures, you'll find that there are some trends or traits, but especially in Chinese cultures, very distinctly clear that the God of heaven is the one gives them some fundamental guiding light, guiding revelations about good things. You know, can you believe that? So it's amazing stuff. So it's a lot to think about, but those things cannot be taught merely by reading or agree with the school thoughts. You yourself have to discover those things, you know. So sorry, making sense to you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember on the bench I said, "Hey, what is my destiny? Well, I gave to the world, right? So what I'm here for." Nobody now, so, and why I was born, those things. Then God told me, take a vacation or reveal those things to you. It literally is another verse instead called 天将降大任于世人也，必先苦其心志，劳其筋骨，空乏其身。I forgot. It's something Confucius' disciple of Confucius said. Means when God of heaven give a great task or responsibility to someone, He will let him go hungry. He will let him wear his body, try his heart, torment his thoughts, and suffer many things that is unusual and extreme, so he can forge or temper his character, his will, be a suitable vessel instrument to carry his purposes. Can you believe that? So in my most terrible time, that's the worst came to me. In Chinese, the God talked to me with my words. That's why He did that to me. I can't believe it. That who am I? I'm like an ant lost in the ocean. I was in the driftwood. I'm not the ark. I don't know where I'm going. But God told me, no, I have a task for you, great task for you. That's why I troubles you and let you go through this kind of ordeal. So I can bring something out of you. What is that? What is that? I don't care anyway. I just want to have food, have clothes, have something suited myself, right? So eventually narrowed it down and said, yeah, you better care about this. So I had to think about whether that is a great task or commission. That's a biblical word. Commission, right? Literally the word called the Great Commission. Biblical word, I guess. What's the Great Commission? Jesus told the disciples called the Great Commission. Send them out. So I don't know. Eventually I've come back to say, okay, if this is really for a good reason, what is that? Tell me. And that's when God began to show me why He bring me out from China, strip everything away from me, because He want me to be set apart for something which is totally alien and strange to me.
Mm-hmm.
And desperately feel unqualified. Make sense to you? Yes. Yeah, with that being said, thank you for allowing me bubbling around.
Oh, yeah. I thank you for teaching.
I don't want to give you this book yet. You might want to read that book.
Yeah,
okay?
I'll start.
Actually, I want to read this book myself. We can read this together.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be a good thing to read together.
I don't want to indoctrinate you. This is not my book. Okay, you see this author? This guy, I know him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Actually, I met him in Congress. He was holding a meeting there.
Huh.
I went to Capitol. Not Congress, Capitol, Texas Capitol. Met him there, yeah.
Huh.
See that? Blonde common and everything.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that you were able to meet him, too.
Yeah, he's a versatile businessman as well. Yeah, he's a Singaporean, but he used business to try to bring the gospel to China. So, but he did some amazing study. The best book ever read on this subject.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd really like to read that together
Yes.
if you want. If you'd like to.
I have not read it thoroughly because I used to think, okay, that's a good idea, but what to do with me? So now I begin to come back to it. My old tradition come back to me.
Yeah, it might make
make
good sense for us to read it together.
Yeah, I just don't do the scholar digging.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
but I understand the basics, so
Yeah, I think
because I study
even
history.
for me, like understanding maybe even views of Chinese view on Christianity and kind of that view on Christianity in China would be
Then
really
you understand there's not too much difference. No. Let me see. There's a natural unity.
congruency.
Yes, between the West and East,
Hmm.
between Christian and Chinese
And I
traditions.
just don't. I think nobody sees that.
Absolutely, it's such a controversial topic, and many will write it off or think it's a fallacy. Try to promote Christianity in China or bring Chinese stuff into Western
America.
thoughts. It had nothing to do with that. It's in the beginning.
We need to stop and realize
It's
that we
before
already have
Western
similarities.
civilization even come on board. All of this in order to take place.
Yeah.
So if you shift the gear, Western culture centric kind of view, especially modern American centric kind of viewpoint view, you will see the amazing correlation between the two school thoughts. I mean, literally, Confucius taught many aspects, like Paul something under the Bible.
Yep.
I'm sorry. you learn a little bit, you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah.
There's a lot of correlations there.
Law of correlation, yeah.
More than just to be coincidence.
Yes.
So,
For example, we said, 己不是勿施于人. That's if something you don't want others to do to you, don't do somebody else.
yeah. That sounds
So
familiar.
like your neighbor like yourself, right? Love your neighbor like yourself.
It's crazy.
Why you want people? Why you do something mean and ugly to people? Because you violate people's. That's actually a Western thought as well.
Mm-hmm.
Respect people, right? Don't violate their rights. Don't violate their honor and value, right? So respect them.
Mm.
So that's biblical. Even slave, especially the one you have a power and advantage over,
More reason to respect.
more respectful, yeah.
Mhm.
Treat them more with due respect. That's godly love is about. But that's lost in culture thinking, especially in the Christian world. Make American great again, Christian tag along with it. What that means, in essence. What it means. How you can make American great and others don't feel small or take advantage of. The British Empire built on the blood, the sweat of many other peoples. In the name, we're going to civilize you. How that could reconcile? But Christians support that government, right? So the king at the head of the branch of Christianity. The queen is the king, right? So Anglican Church. How do you reconcile that? So my point is that those are definitely problematic. Well, I'm not arguing a case of history happenances. I'm talking about once you see all that through, begin to see, oh, that's actually have nothing to do with God.
Mm-hmm.
God has different way to do it. That's when you begin to really reconstruct
Yeah,
God's
that's almost,
culture. Yeah.
almost like a revelation to me what you said about
Yeah.
realizing, obviously not
Go
that
ahead.
those two cultures aren't the same. They're not.
Mhm.
But to see how they, in ways, really even are the same. Which
on
is
the undergirding things.
not
and that's-
not the modern made things.
No, yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah. Can you pray for us?
Amen. Yes, Lord, I thank you for this time. Lord, what a blessing it is to have Brother Emmanuel to be able to teach me these things, Lord. Pray that I would continue to, Lord, seek your wisdom even through it. Lord, to continue to pursue this destiny you have set out for me, Lord. Lord, that I would not get too caught up in what I think or what I want. But Lord, only focus on what you have for me.
Mm.
Lord, hold on to what you have given me to hold tight. Lord, to look deeper into the places you have revealed to me. Or to ask questions on what I do not understand. But Lord, that I would be open for understanding and wisdom. Lord, I just pray that your will continue to be done in this. Lord, that whatever purpose you have for me to fulfill, Lord, that I may learn, Lord, and I may do that. That is my desire, Lord, to do your will and to that I would make your culture prosper. Praise in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Elijah, for the prayer. Let's wrap up.